right, everybody, we're going to get started with this live conference call. I am going to be joined tonight with my good friend Milan V. He's an amazing inspiration to myself and many other people, but the way I see him, he's my personal mentor, guru, and life coach. I go to him for many things to help me advance in business and success, but most of all in my personal well-being and life. I'll tell you this backstory when we get into this with him, but I tell you, he's an amazing guy on the rise. He's got a new book coming out called Peace, Love, and Abundance for All. It's an audio program and book, and I'm really excited to introduce Milan V. Milan, are you with us?
I am. I'm happy to be here.
Milan, give the viewers, the listeners, just a little bit of a background of why and how you found yourself in the ultimate abundance that you are in now, and kind of elaborate on that.
Well, originally, just so everyone knows, I was born and raised in Serbia, which is located in southeastern Europe. And after graduating college, I was like, there's nothing here for me. And, I left, in pursuit of, something meaningful. And then when I moved to South Florida, apparently, I think it was the tropical weather. I think it was the heat. As a kid, I was always dreaming, about like living where it's hot, where it's summer year round. And then something clicked in me. I was like, I always had this passion for understanding stuff, for understanding how stuff works. And then, as you know, I mean, my click was I watched the documentary, The Secret. After that, I grabbed the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, which I heard was a good book from a bunch of friends. And after that book, man, I told you, I mean, for people that don't know, I started doing affirmations each day. I started doing meditation, and that was like 2.5 years ago, and I haven't missed a day since. And it's discipline. It really takes discipline, and devotion and a day every day. It's a daily practice. You know how people think they know, like everyone. What we're going to talk about today, Z, is most people are going to understand it as common sense, right? But
yes.
When you lack the daily practice, it only stays as a theory. And what mindfulness is supposed to be, it's not a philosophy. It's supposed to be a practice.
I agree.
So, yeah.
I agree. And that is so true, because like The Secret, when I got into the book The Secret years ago, I was not in the place I'm in today. But I feel like all this has led up to my success, even the little stuff. And the other thing I want to point out is, like, today on my walk and my meditation, it kind of dawned on me that some of the same lessons that I listened to when I was 25, that kind of I was excited to jump into this, this vast technology. And at the time, this is before Facebook was really blowing up. This is before the internet was explosive. And I was like, oh, there's something bigger out there, and I'm going to go after that. And I didn't know what it was. And then a lot of people years later, they get jaded because something didn't work, or, right idea, wrong time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just kept going through it and through it and through it until I found my niche, and I found what I need to be successful. And today, when I was listening to some of my other audiobooks, I realized that the same verbiage that was being spoke to me through these audiobooks when I, back in 2005 and 6, they still speak to me the same way, but they have a different meaning, because my life has changed. So before, there's parts of the audio programs that I would leave out. I'd be like, oh, they're talking about, are you stressing over, the amount of money coming in and what to do with it in your investments. Well, then I didn't have that. So that part of my life, in the program, I blanked out. I only attached to the things that talked about what I was experiencing. So now, when I'm listening to that, those speak louder to me, because I have an income to play with. I have investments to make. And so, but again, this is also audio information that was recorded, years ago, probably in the late 90s. When I'm bringing that up is even with my own audio program, and even with yours, no matter how much time goes on in the future, What we're doing here today has so much knowledge that you can take with you. Anybody listening to this, you guys could take this with you at any part of your life, at different stages of your life. So don't just think that today's event that we're talking with Milan today is something that you can only apply now and there's a time limit on it. I would say take action, but the good news is why I reach out to Milan on a weekly basis is because Milan is tapping in. He's spending hours of time working on his self-development, his personal development, his business, his mind, his mantras. And so when you tap into someone like Milan and you call him or interact with him, all that energy that he's generating is going into your life now. And that's the power of a real life coach who spends so much time. It's the same with if you're a stockbroker or someone who they know the game, they know how it's working, they know what the stakes are, the risks, they know what's hot. And you tap into them and say, hey, can you move this money around? They'll advise you on where you need to put it and what risks to take. But again, they're doing this all day. So that's why I'm calling on Milan all the time because, wasn't it like a couple weeks ago, I remember calling you, Milan, and I was like, hey, I'm super stressed out because I got all this stuff going on. And you were like, listen to what you're saying. You have all this amazing stuff going on. And I realized that I was complaining about good problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are good problems to have.
Yeah, it's, well, I would say, I wanted to say oftentimes, but I'm going to say every single time that you wish to complain about something, the easiest and the best way to just kind of heal yourself or heal your pain is to just focus on what you have already. Like, that's what I tell people. It's the gratitude. But it sounds so simple, but it is simple. Life is supposed to be simple. Look at little kids. Look at little babies. Everyone when they're born, they wake up, they open their eyes, and they, after initial crying, that's like obviously outside of their comfort zone. But after a couple of hours, little babies smile. They don't know anything better because they were, after time goes by, they were taught by adults not to be this, not to be that, to say this, not to say that. So they're literally programmed to be a certain way that others believe it's the right way. But gratitude, man, it's the nature of who we are. It's the easiest way. And if every single person on this planet, just every single morning when they wake up, if they just said a couple of nice sentences of gratitude and just felt that feeling, we would be living in a way better world, man.
It's true. And today, again, I told myself, every day I got to jumpstart my day because the moment sometimes I wake up and my clients are calling me, my clients are texting me, they're on the internet. There's so much stuff going on because the world is moving. We're moving. It's this business, and I stay up late sometimes working, and so I don't have a jump start on the day like most of my clients do, and because of that, I try to make sure that I'm ahead of them by at least a day or two, sometimes a week. And so, but again, that still comes into questions. So if I wake up and I'm immediately brought into business, my days is going to be fast and I have to adjust throughout the day. And sometimes you have to do that. But I try to always get the jump on that by saying I'm going to make the first hour my hour. And I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm not going to look at the internet. And I'm going to center myself because the moment and you hear this all the time, I'm sure a lot of you guys who are listening to this have heard, maybe, I've heard this with my parents, and if you don't focus on, like the mom, if you don't focus on you, your husband, your wife can't, reap the benefits of you being centered. And if you're not centered, everything's going to fall apart. So me being the center of a lot of businesses in their marketing campaign, and even my own business, I have to take the time to center myself. And so today at the park, I made it a point, and I always do, but I made an extra 10 minutes of gratitude. And, I usually spend about 20 minutes in that. Or sometimes if you can't get that full amount, even if you just take a moment and say, okay, I'm going to shift my energy to this gratitude, and I'm going to say thank you just for my life, or thank you for all the people in it, or the ability today to have this weather, you know, a lot of times we forget that even in our challenges, even in, you know, things that bother us, we have to look at them as opportunities. And that's when we need to shift our focus and say, I'm reacting to stimulus, but really I need to react in a way of like, let me be grateful for this whole thing happening, because at the other side of this, it's the push I need, or it's the opportunity I need to change focus, or it's the shifting gears, or it's simply just the message is telling us, hey, you know what, you hit a rough spot here because you haven't been focused. And now it's time to change your focus. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that, and that is you really put it very nicely. Like it's, but all of this that you're talking about is just the great awareness you have of what life is and how you're supposed to approach it. Like anything that happens in your life, and first of all, just let me say that like all of my quote unquote teachings, let's call it that way, I really base it on my studies of the interconnectedness of science and spirituality. Because I really, even though most scientists that have been, you know, touching base with quantum physics about the mind and how, you know, how your thoughts and, you know, beliefs and wants manifest, it's, I really don't like to, and they say, you know, most of these scientists, a lot of them are becoming spiritual and a lot of them have less and less to do with science. I really, because I'm fairly new to, you know, to mindfulness, you know, practice. I've only been doing it for a couple of years. There's people that have been doing it decades and decades. Since I'm new, I really don't feel comfortable with getting all emotional and, getting very expressive and wanting to say a lot about stuff that cannot be proven by science. Because I believe, first of all, whenever I talk about stuff, I really like the people that I talk to about spirituality and mindfulness to understand me. And most of the people that I talk to and most people on the world are skeptical, right? So the best way of you giving an example is just giving them proof from science, either quantum physics or, you know, just like an experiment or something. So the thing is, what were we talking about again? Like, I think I kind of, this is what happens to me a lot. I like to talk a lot about, you know, broad terms and subjects. We were talking about what you were saying. Yes, you. No, you're still on. You're still on your point. The outlook of that. Here's the thing. Let's shift into, because it kind of is all going to flow together. And just for the listeners, me and Milan here, we don't have a script or anything. We're just going off of our flow of energy. And we talked about this, and we were going to script out bullet points on what to talk about, but we know our stuff. And so I want this to come off very organic with you guys, and I'm not going to lock us into any one subject. But I will say this. One of the biggest things, Milan, is I want to talk to people. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, you know, my business is growing at a rapid pace. How do I stay ahead of this? Some people are saying, hey, I'm very comfortable with them. I mean, you and I both know that's not a good place to be, is comfort. And then there's people that are saying, how do I get into this? I want this so bad. And my thing is, I see a lot of people, they say they want it so bad, but actions speak louder than words. So you got to move your body, you got to get focused, and you got to make this a must. So one thing I want to say that you told me and you taught me, and this, you can go off of this then, is, you know, guys, I went to Milan and I said, Milan, I want to continue to grow my business. I have this urge to reach out for more clients, but at the same time, I'm getting flooded with calls and wonderful emails, and I'm moving and I'm going where I'm being guided. And part of me wants to take control of that. And Milan said the only way you can focus on this is to let go of it and only focus on your skill. So with me, it's literally like if you guys watch me do video, and I'm at one of my events or I'm filming for a client, if you watch me, I have a glide cam, a camera in front of me, and I'm only focused on what is directly in my field of view, right in front of me. Yeah. So I put that client, that subject in my lens. I'm looking at my camera. I'm operating. So that is my center point. And so when Milan told me that, it made me think of that. And I said, you know what? All I have to do is focus on my skill and be the best I can be at this thing, and everything will come to me. And that is exactly what has been happening, and I'm so blessed by it. But it's not just in this
field of business, in my life in general, there's so many other examples I can point out of why you just focus on what you want like a laser beam and it comes to you. So let's talk about that for the people who are looking to thrive in their business, who are trying to get out of comfort zone, or people trying to start a business.
Yeah, literally like what you said, but you said something that's very important for our conversation right now. Is most people feel like they need to have absolute control. That, first of all, is an absolute illusion. You have control of nothing. You are in control of nothing, but you are in command of everything. So no matter what situation you're in command of how you're going to react to it. Okay? And what you said, when I told you, you were thinking too much. Most people think too much. But with you, see, again, you are in a very privileged position. You're doing what you love already. So for you, it's a bit, for you and me, it's a bit easier. For you, for you and me, we can say like, okay, we can like stop thinking and just focus on what you love doing. And that's a fact, man. Like, and you see it from your own personal experience. Once you stop thinking with your conscious mind, focus on what you love doing and what you are doing, you do it, and you don't push yourself over the limits. You enjoy what you're doing. The whole purpose of life, and believe it or not, is just enjoying it. Finding something you love to do, enjoying it, and not overthinking. Overthinking, most of our listeners today probably know that overthinking kills. Sometimes even literally. So just focus on what you love doing. Do it. Enjoy it. And most of the time, it happens by itself.
It's true. And let me add to this. So, like, I kind of go back to my original teachings years ago. I learned about flowing like water, right? And it's a simple concept. But, if you look at a stream that's constantly flowing, it's feeding the ecosystem. It's moving. It's constantly reinventing itself, if you will, but yet it's staying the same form. So it's not resistance. If there's a big, a rock in front of that flow of water, what does it do? It goes around or floods over it. Unless it's a bunch of rocks, then it'll obviously stop it, and that's what we call a dam. Okay, but you know what I mean, like and with that being said, is if water can't find a way around stuff, and then it becomes very stale, and that's your comfort zone. That's that sitting around and just letting that. If you let water just sit, it becomes very stale. But if you let it flow, then it continues to grow and continues to thrive. So, I mean, I look at things like that. It's like you have to keep flowing like water, and you want to resist, you want to pull back, you want to push against. But again, you just need to kind of learn to dance with what's going on with you in life. You need to work around these things. So when I was talking to you about being comfort, one of the biggest things that you said to me that struck loud that I want to share with everyone else is, Milan had told me you want to be comfortable in a moment, but not in a day. You want to feel like everything's good right now, but then you want to be uncomfortable the rest of the day, because that is going to thrive and push you to the next level continuously. Can you elaborate on that?
See, that right there, what you mentioned, is exactly why most people think life is complicated. You always need to have a certain balance of strictness and softness. What you said. You need to, what we're talking about now is an ideal, of course, just putting it out there, so people don't start stressing out, oh my God, I don't have this. This is something that even the Dalai Lama says, like, sometimes he's in it, sometimes he loses it. Yes, what the main goal is for you to feel content with this moment, with what you have, no matter where you're at. But at the same time, feel a slight discontent that's going to want to push you towards, working more and, bettering yourself and going towards whatever it is that you're going for. So you put it pretty much nicely, that's absolutely true. But that, again, is the complementation of discipline and intuition. The flowing of the water, what you said, dancing in life, that when you were talking about that, I was thinking about intuition. Learning how to differentiate what your intuition is telling you and what your ego is telling you takes a lot of self-talk, a lot of self-reflection, and daily, pretty much it's a daily habit. But Z, what you and I are talking about is literally like ideals. So people, our listeners need to understand that wherever you're at right now, you're okay. You're alive. No matter where you're at, you're able to hear what we're talking about. That by itself, solely that, gives you a lot of things to be grateful for. I know the things that I'm going to be talking about sound very simple, but these simple things, if you learn to practice them each day, I'm saying from personal experience, they change your complete perception of the world. And when your perception changes, the world changes itself. This exactly directly has to do with transmutation of energy in quantum physics. This is not just spirituality. This is factual science.
And let me bring the focus back to a few things here. One, with what Milan is saying right now, I could say this, guys. When you walk away from this talk here, first of all, I want you guys to spring into action and connect with Milan on Facebook, Instagram, social media, wherever you can. Go to MilanV.com. Well, he'll actually go ahead and spell out your website, because remember, I can't pronounce your last name properly, like people can't do my first name.
Course. All right. So spelling out my website. It's www.MILANV as in Victor, RACARIC.net.com, right?
.com. Yes, .com.
But
.com.
That's the point. Yes. So
yes, and I encourage you guys to go, even get on a call with him, because springing into action right away is going to help you and just get that energy from Milan. But I will say this, whether I tell you something, Milan tells you something, these teachings, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to fall right on your face. And then immediately you're going to do, even I do it, you're going to get up and say, see, it doesn't work. You're right? And we're going to want to do that. But then if you can just find that focus to say, you could say it doesn't work, but then you say, you know what? Okay, let me try this. And you're going to try it, and it's not going to work. And then you're going to try it again, because that is the focus that you guys need to have. You need to get pushed down and get up, get pushed down and get up. You need to fight against resistance a lot, but then you need to learn to flow. It's that dance we were talking about. Yeah. But again, there's been opportunities. Milan has told me something. When I got off the phone, I let it sink in, and I went out, and life got crazy, because my business is very crazy and fast, and a lot of stuff happening. It's very fun, but it's very stressful. And I find moments to say, oh my gosh, this fits in perfect to what he was saying. So like, this works. Just like, one of the biggest things that I've learned in the past couple months is, like, even if someone is telling you something that it's disrupting your energy, or maybe it's disrupting your business a little bit, or maybe it's a difference in opinions, that's the point where you got to say, is this, I always say pick your battles, but it's not even that. It's like, is this really important for me to push back on someone when I can easily say, you're absolutely right. Pardon your ego, pardon yourself as anything, and just say, I'm going to give you that power, because if that giving you that power helps you rise or disrupts what we have between us so that we can keep moving, then that's the most important thing. But I will say this, guys, I want to kind of go back on a backstory of why I put so much belief and trust and love into Milan, because today, this exact day last year, I was driving back to Ohio from a move to Florida, and I met Milan last year. So about 3 weeks ago today, last year, is when I met Milan. So we only knew each other for about 4 weeks, or not even that. I think it was about 3 exact.
Less than that,
Yeah, so I met Milan, and we spent one day together with maybe 2 phone calls, and we immediately connected and had a great energy sharing. And we didn't know what that friendship was. We didn't know what it was going to be. We knew nothing about this. All I knew is Milan was thriving and becoming self-aware and growing his abundance, and I was just driving forward to say my business, and I'm this person, and I'm going to be the best at what I can do. But again, I moved my whole family out to Florida, Miami area. Actually, it was Plantation. And because you were in Miami, so we went to Plantation just outside of Fort Lauderdale. And I just wasn't working for me. And so this time last year, I drove back up here to see my oldest off to college. And in that moment, I told my wife, I said, you know what, we're not going to go. You're not going to go back. I'm going to fly back, and I'm going to figure this out, and we're going to move back to Ohio where we're at. And because we just missed it, we loved it. And so again, it would be in 4 days I would eventually fly back to Florida, and I met with Milan. And Milan came over to see me, and I told him how I'm moving. And immediately I said, Milan, would you like to help me drive my moving truck across, country to back to Ohio and move all my stuff? And Milan at first was like, yo, I can't do that. I got all this stuff. And then tell them what exactly happened. Like within literally it was 20 minutes later, you were thinking about this.
Yeah.
And what was your reaction?
I was like, this is because I told you, literally what you said, we only knew each other for a couple of weeks, and I was in the process of learning to trust the process. Everything happening for a reason, right? So I was like,
yeah,
this guy needs help, and I really do have stuff that I need to do, but all of that stuff I can push back. So I was like, I really enjoy talking to this guy. He needs help, and I really like road trips. Let's do it.
Yes. And that attitude of just let's go, guys, I was in a stressful state at that point, and it was stressful because I didn't have it all figured out. I was like, okay, I moved here because that was my 10-year goal, to move to Florida and come back to this place that I love for the weather. And at the same time, I was like, but I want to go back. I left clientele to come to Florida, and I didn't know what I was going back to. I was in limbo, so it was very stressful. But when Milan spoke up and he was like, it intrigues me, the people I might meet, the things I might see, I want to go. And I was like, man, that's drive right there. And literally we got in this moving truck, and we just drove 19 hours. We kept going, and this is when the hurricane was coming in. It was probably I think it was
Harvey, the Texas one?
Yeah, well, Harvey had just went through Texas, and it was breaking up over the Carolinas, and that other
it was what left of it, yes.
Right, and the other hurricane was coming to Florida, to Miami. So what's funny is me and Milan are going away from that hurricane, but yet Milan had to get on a plane in the 2 days later and fly back home.
Fly back to Irma.
Hurricane. Yes, he's like, I'm going at it, and we drove, but there were so many things on the trip that Milan and me we butted heads, but we became good friends on this trip. And at the same time, Milan was like, yo, I think if we drive, we're going to be right in the middle of these two massive storm cells from that other hurricane, and it's up to the Carolinas. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to drive through this storm with this truck, a 27-inch foot truck, a 27-foot truck, and it was packed with all my life was in this truck. And literally, we're driving, and you remember, Milan, we were looking at, for 6 hours straight, we're looking at two storm cells, and it was sunny, above us. It was insane.
Yeah, that was really, because, what I like to do always in those situations, I like to use both of my radar apps I have on my phone, and then I just said it, I got a hunch that I was like, we need to go now, and we need to go now. Remember, I think we were getting gas, right? Yeah,
and I come back in the truck, and you're like, yo, bro, we got to go now.
Yeah, and literally what you said, we were literally cruising on the outskirts of those two storms. That was that was crazy.
Yeah, and guys, I'm telling you, when I was driving that, in my mind, I had this weird energy hit me, and it was like, yo, this dude knows what he's talking about. Trust in the process, the law of attraction, the universe, and I had already tapped into that. And here's the thing, guys, this wasn't my first rodeo with the law of attraction in that moment, but it was my first rodeo in that moment when I was super stressed and I felt so disconnected from all forms of belief and universal connection because I was in a stressed state. And I thought, well, there's no way I can manifest in this state because I'm so stressed trying to get across, the country. And I realized that it doesn't matter. You can be disconnected. You just have to know how to stay balanced and say, I can call on this law of attraction at any given time, but you have to believe that to the core. And sometimes you don't. I mean, I've had countless things happen to me in my life that looking back on, I realized how I manifested that. And it doesn't always mean you're manifesting good things in your life. You could simply focus on something that's not good, and you can bring that into your life because that's the level that you will put yourself at. Am I right, Milan?
Yeah, literally what you said. But what helps me about the understanding is I like to read, and I really like to tell people like knowledge is power. That's why like books are very important, And that's the thing. Like what we're talking about is like law of attraction. There's different approaches. There's someone like Tony Robbins, someone like Neil Donald Walsh maybe, or Gary Vee or Eckhart Tolle. But the thing is that every true life coach in life is gonna be like saying what you're saying right now is you can never, like a true life coach will never tell you exactly what to do. That is your job. The true life coach is going to hold space for you so you can be yourself. That's the most important thing. Feeling comfortable with someone else, with being yourself. And then while someone that knows how to hold space and knows how to be compassionate can hold space for you, you can be yourself, and literally the inner healer arises, because all of us humans, even though that we're like, from different backgrounds, we all are the same because we all want success in, six big areas of life. Let's say it's health, wealth, relationships, spiritual connection, self-confidence, and of course, career. So that being said, we're all the same. So the person you see, the homeless person you see first thing when you go outside to the street, and Donald Trump and all those millionaires, billionaires, and whoever, we are all the same. We all have the same mind. The only difference is the belief system. That is what separates the hero from the zero. So,
and you know what? Let me say this for the listeners. For those of you guys who live, out west or up here in the east area, in the north, if you're not down in where Milan is, like in the belly of the beast. He's close to it. He's in Miami, where everything's happy and going, and also there's poverty. There's a lot of stuff going on there that are clashing together. And I know this even from 2004 when I was down there getting a piece of the action. I was like, whoa, what is this for the first time? Literally when he explains about when you walk out and you see that homeless person and then you see the multimillionaires, it literally is that every single day. Yeah, all he has to do is walk out on his patio and he can see a multi-million-dollar boat moving down, and he'll see the homeless. And it's not known as much up north. It's very separated. It's very organized, I guess, if you will. It's not like we see that all the time. Yeah. Right. But again, it is the warmer area, so everyone's going to flock that way. I know I would if I was less fortunate. I would try to find my way to a warmer climate, because I don't know how some of these people survive in the cold up here. I don't understand it. But I will say this. That lifestyle out there is probably the best shock that you can give yourself, to say, wow, if I work my butt off and I stay focused and I go with these challenges, I can be super successful. But at the same time, it's a reminder to say, it's not that hard and you're not that far off from falling off the wagon. You know what I'm saying? But again, you can get back up and you go. We're living in the most spectacular time ever, a time where anybody can make money, they can be successful, they can create a brand. And so I feel like there's no excuse for anybody not to take advantage of what we have. There is so many opportunities. It's just so many people are like, I'm going to go with the social norm and I'm going to go get a job. And they don't like that job. And then they just live by that. And they think that's all they can make. And I'm just here to tell you, Milan, is too, that you focus on yourself, you focus on what you want in life, and be good at it. The rest will come to you. But you can't be living the brainwash of what society is pumping into our minds. And right now, it's as far as just tuning in. Like, you can tune into the career state of mind and look at everyone in your life that went to college and created a career for themselves, and you can be super successful in that. You can tune into the person that just works the basic 9 to 5 at maybe a factory, and they make their money and they provide for the family, and you can live that. Or you can tune into, the multiple 12 to 18-year-olds that are making millions of dollars on YouTube or Instagram, and you can say, okay, I'm going to try to attempt that. But again, there's no real blueprint to how this will unfold for you. Like even me, being one of 3 top GlideCam master videographers in the world, that is something that, even me, every day I get up and I ask myself, how did I get so lucky to find my way out of thousands and thousands of people who operate cameras and GlideCams, and I get noticed and put in this awesome bracket that is growing. This list is growing. Pretty soon I can't wait for the day where I can say I'm one of 1,000 or 3,000, because there's more people jumping on that are proving their skills. But at the same time, I'm humbled because I'm like, I know I worked my butt off to get to this level. So, I just want everyone to walk away from this knowing that myself, Milan, there's a lot of other people out there that can guide you. You got to tap into what is going to drive you even when you get pushed down. Like, what is going to be that must where you're like, dude, I must get this. Who do I got to turn on now? Oh, it's Milan. It's Zebulon Thomas. It's Gary Vaynerchuk. It's Tony Robbins, and that's really what you got to look at. So like Milan has this new audio program out. It's available on Amazon. It's available on his website. Tell us a little bit about your audio program.
So first of all, it's like an audio book. So it's a short audio book. So since I'm just starting off to promote myself, because I'm really learning about all these social media things and, marketing, promotion and whatnot. But it's just a short audiobook talking about how, touching what you said, why you were so lucky to have what you have, man, is because you're a good person. Let me tell you that right now. And the thing is, I really, because I can't, what we're doing right now is what we do, what you said, at least once a week. The only difference is we have multiple people listening. And it's being a good person. I mentioned that a lot in my audiobook is really all the things that I've talked about there are, most people would consider, oh my God, I already know that. This guy is only talking about things I already know. What I said in the beginning of this conversation, everyone knows these things, but only a few practice them. What you said, if you have that awareness to just during the day, just to stop and just to feel good about yourself the way you are in this moment. It's really because this now, Z, is just like an hour long, call. We haven't even, what you said, planned that much. We don't have a lot of, blueprint, like bullet points, to just refer to or any concept. Of course, you guys, we will definitely be doing these, hopefully, Facebook Live videos. Yes. So, you might want to, stay tuned for those, because definitely I'm gonna have a lot more things to talk about here, and definitely I'm sure about Z as well. But what I talk about in my book, it's a 45-minute long short audio book, but I also have YouTube videos and whatnot. But literally what I talk about is that the interconnectedness of science and spirituality. It's like no more can people say, oh, yeah, what that guy's talking about, he's a little bit cuckoo. No. The law of attraction is a metaphysical law. Metaphysical laws, a lot of them have been in, of course, in a different form, but still talking about the same things in, let's say, Buddhism or other esoteric cultures for thousands of years now. And we're slowly starting to have science prove these things. So that's why, Z, that is my main drive, I have to say. That what you said, living 2018, man, we should consider ourselves very fortunate, because we are witnessing the awakening of our civilization. And what a lot of even scientists say, that we are evolving. We are evolving from Homo sapiens into, something that's becoming aware of its true nature. And for me, that is just divine bliss and joy, and I'm enjoying.
And it's the best time for us to maximize our potentials. To really, I mean, there's so much more today that you can become and do than you could have even when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s.
Literally anything.
One of the,
anything.
Yeah. It's really that. And well, here's the one thing I want to say before I forget this. I want everyone listening to this to try this week. Take the challenge and just say, look around your house or where you live, your apartment, or look at things that you have or things you've accomplished, and look at these things and say, at what point in my life did I want that, and what point in my life did that show up, and when did the must that needs to show up in my life happen? So if you wanted to be the best football player, or if you wanted to be, if you wanted to have your own computer business, or you just wanted simply a 4K curved TV, right? At what point do you remember thinking about it? When did you make it a must, and when did you bring it home? And when you feel that, I want you to, when you hear that and think about that, I want you to feel it. Because to me, it's a feeling. When you make something a must and you want to attract it, you have to feel that wish already fulfilled. You have to fulfill that in your body now. I used to tell myself, how would it feel to have $5,000 in my bank account?
Yeah.
And then I had 10,000, and I was like, whoa, And then it was like, how would I feel if I had extra money to invest? And then I do that. And if, again, Milan always tells me it's never about the number. It's about accomplishing the goal and then keep moving on. So I'm saying if someone wants a car, if they want an ultimate business, if they want the ideal relationship, you have to see and feel, what would that feel like right now if I had that? How would I breathe? How would I act? How would I think? What would my stress be like? What would my love be like? What would my passion be like?
Yeah.
And bring that in now and practice that maybe 5-10 minutes a day, just feeling as if you had everything you ever wanted in your life, how would you feel? And just try to hold on to that for a little bit. And then just go about your day. That's all it takes for you to attract that now. And again, if you guys haven't tapped into this and you're not believing it, that's fine. We respect that. We're just speaking from direct experience. And and even with Milan, when I came back from Florida and I got established out here again, I immediately sprung into action, and the universe brought me and Milan back together for a project, and that project was his audio program. And I said, hey, you know what? Like, I know how to do this. Let me help you. And he took my lead. I took his lead. Together, boom, we made this product where most people say, I want to make a product or write a book. Who's going to publish it? And they get caught up in that, and then it never happens. Me, Milan, and I pushed through that. I've created products before. I've created websites. And Milan has the knowledge, and I know he wanted it, so I just said, you know what, let me add massive value, and that goes into my other key. If you want to be successful at anything, you have to add massive value. If you add massive value, nobody is going to not want a piece of that. So, and that comes back to focusing on what you want to do and who you are. With Facebook Live today, we didn't go live because we were having technical issues. But immediately I sprung into action instead of reinventing the wheel and trying to not go.
And now I lost you. Hello?
I know how this works. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. I hear you again. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So I was just saying, I know the conference call. I know how this works. So again, Facebook Live, I just roll with the punches. So I just encourage all you guys to take a moment, check out Milan's audio program, or even just get on a phone call with him and just give him what you need, and he'll definitely be able to deliver something back to you. Yeah, I mean, there's so many other opportunities, not just with us. I mean, there's countless gurus out there.
There's countless approaches, but what we're talking about, man, is what all of these gurus are talking about. We just have like a slightly different approach. Everyone has their own approach, and every single person, prefers a different approach. So, and that is beautiful. That is diversity, and diversity in its essence is beauty, if you ask me. Yeah,
I agree. And again, me and Milan, like, some people have asked me, why do you even go out of your way to help people, or why do you try to communicate? And I feel like something's pulling me to say, dude, I have a passion to just share what I know. And it drains me, but I don't do it as much as I used to, but that's okay, because when I do it, I give only what is important, and not like, because we can hype all this up, and a lot of people will do that, and even this phone call you could have picked up the line, guys, and this could have been over in 2 minutes. We could have said, hey, law of attraction is this, believe in yourself, focus on only what you need to focus on, the rest will come. That's it. It's simple. But we need to talk about it. We need to uncode it, because we're fighting against egos and belief systems, and we got to break through that to get to our subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to get to the stillness that we all are by nature. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Because, but to tap into that, to get in touch with stillness, or to just communicate with your subconscious mind, you need to calm down. You need to calm your mind down. And most people, no one really talks about the direction of focus. If your focus is on the outside world, you're never going to tap this. There's no way you're going to tap into your power, your inherent power of creation, if you don't calm down and shift the focus inside. And the easiest way to do this is just you sit down, just set aside like 5 to 10 minutes each day. Just sit down, just calm your mind down. Of course, you're going to have millions of different thoughts starting off, of course. Millions of different thoughts and emotions flying in your head, flying in and out. But that's normal. Just let them come, let them go, focus on your breathing. As you slowly start to switch your focus from what's going on outside of you to the inner stillness, and as you start practicing this more and more often, you will just start feeling more blissful each day, whether you like it or not. Because what happens is, when you calm down, when you start switching your focus to the inside, you get in touch with your true nature. Your true nature is absolute, unconditional love, good, abundance, peace, and joy. That is the natural state of being, not only of human beings, of all nature, life and non-life in the known universe. This is the energy that theoretical physicists, metaphysicists are talking about, and quantum physicists, talking about the quantum field on a subatomic level. That everything is made of the same stuff. That's what happens. That's literally what happens when you shut your mind off, when you switch focus on the inside. Even though on the surface you will get thoughts and emotions coming in and out, you're getting in touch with your true nature. And
let me say that.
Yes.
Right. So Milan had explained to me a couple sessions ago, actually, how we all experience these thoughts and emotions, but a lot of us will attach to those and think that they're ours.
Yeah.
But for thousands of years, people have had these thoughts and emotions, the similar ones, like, oh, am I going to be enough? Or am I going to provide enough food for the family? Or is my business going to be successful? Or what's going on in the market? Like, maybe the market didn't exist thousands of years ago, but our need to survive has. And so these thoughts have transformed throughout the years and decades to us, and we feel this. So like whenever I'm out and about and things are going good, if I feel like a little like, oh no, like what if I'm not prepared for the shoot tomorrow? Or what if I'm not prepared for what the economy has to hold? That's normal. Feel it. Okay. All right. But then don't hold it. Let it go and be like, I got this, and
absolutely,
and also going,
right, man.
Yeah. And going back to what Milan was saying about, taking time to touch base and tap into that, I created a workout. I've realized this. When I go to the park, my park experience is like an hour to 2 hours long, and it's a workout, but it's not just physical. I show up and I do like a little gratitude buffer, I call it. So I take, 5-10 minutes and I sit there and I just kind of breathe in. I look out at my surroundings. I got my earbuds off. I'm listening to nature. And then it's go time. From there, I get up. I put earbuds in. I put on my favorite music or my coach, or I put on something that's just inspirational. Like sometimes there's a nice Buddhist song that I listen to. It's like 20 minutes long. It just takes you through emotional drainage, which is good. So then I'll get my body moving and I start walking, or I'll start running. I'll do whatever I feel like I need to do in this time frame. And then I wind down, like a normal workout. You stretch, you warm up, you get into it, and then you cool down, you stretch again. So I start mentally, then I go physically, I tap into the energy, I bring it up, and then I bring it down, I calm it. So at the end of my workout, I'll make sure I take 30 minutes, and sometimes I get a full 30-minute meditation in, sometimes that's broken up. But I'll know when I sit down if I need to listen to more music, if I need to breathe it out, look at my environment, or if I need to close my eyes and go inward and start to meditate. But when I'm walking around this park, I tell you what, there's so many things that happen. I want to encourage people to find their spot. And that is this. Yeah. When you're walking around, find a gym, find a park, go there all year. Go there like once a week and make it a routine, a ritual. And when I'm walking around, sometimes I'm simply saying thank you, or I'm saying yes, or I'm saying, I'll say thank you and I'll think of something attached to that. Like thank you for, my life, my health, my success, anything that drives me to want more, or thank you for the challenges, thank you for the triumphs. And I'm just shouting this and getting this in rhythm, because if you do that for 6 months, it'll become a must in your life. Your body, your mind will have to do it. And also you'll start to, your body and your mind and your life will just expand so much more. Even within you do this for a week. You do it every day for a week. I'm telling you, man, I spent almost an entire year going to the same park that I do now, and I ran 3 days a week. Sometimes I would do every day. And so now when I'm at this park, it's so weird. The anchors that I have to different parts of this park, and the sounds and the smells, and so they automatically boost me back, 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, to when I was doing these runs. And I feel younger, I feel stronger. And it's hard to explain, but I want people to just find their anchor, find their spot. Do you have anything else you would like to wrap up with, Milan?
Yeah, that's just what you just coming back to what you said, is that I really like saying this often. Life is simple. Humans, we are simple. We are creatures of habit. What you do each day is what determines your either success or failure. Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks again, Milan, for joining us for this call. We're going to do lots more with you. We'll get the Facebook Live figured out. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning in. Yes. And if you're listening to this as a rebroadcast, again, all the links are going to be below this video and this audio session. So you can go follow Milan, and you can follow myself, too, on Facebook, Instagram, social media. Everything will be below. I appreciate all you guys tuning in, and lots of love, abundance, and success to everybody. And Milan,
thank you, Z. Thank you, everyone. This was fun.